when I was growing up in the 90s, a show that I fell in love with was Pokemon. So this past weekend, had an opportunity. We were doing turns at the house, trying to teach my son how to take turns, right? And so for my turn, I was like, oh, let me see if he'll like a little bit of Pokemon. So we watched a couple episodes of Pokemon, and it's a really, I think, good kids show because it deals first off with a very different culture, because you always forget it's an anime, and it's based off of kind of like Japanese culture in many different respects in many different ways. And so it's like about a 10-year-old who's going off on his own to start his Pokemon journey, and you're just like, whoa. No, we wouldn't do that in American culture. That's
only
crazy.
10 years old.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying like obviously there's no Pokemon, but it's one of those things where you think, okay, for them, obviously 10 years old is a very big deal, or at least a bigger deal than what it would be in other places. And so it's a really good, I think, introduction to other cultures in that regard. Plus, you got the really cute Pokemon, so I think it's something that really kids can really enjoy. And if you are someone like me who grew up in the 90s, it's fun nostalgia. And I think it holds up about as well as you think it would, and it makes you want to go back and check out the Pokemon cards that you may have collected at one point in time. So that's the show that I'd recommend this week. It's good for most people in the family. Starting off with a short film this week, it's like technically movie, TV, it's hard to say, but it's one of the episodes of Charlie Brown from back in the day. So I've done a few recommendations of different Charlie Browns. So I finally watched You're in Love, Charlie Brown.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like, okay, there were so many episodes that came out, and they all had their own titles, and so it wasn't like a typical episodic show. It was almost like these mini movies. And it's really, really awesome. So it deals all as it says in the overview, with the school year coming to a close, Charlie Brown is trying to work up the courage to meet his dream girl, whom he only knows as the little red-haired girl, right? And everyone, of course, knows the little red-haired girl. He's too nervous. He's trying to go things around. People are trying to help him. And it's like very funny at one point. Peppermint Patty gets confused and so thinks that he really likes Lucy, and then tries to set them up. And it's just, again, one of those typical just Peanuts shows that is something that I think everyone will enjoy. The kids will enjoy because it's the Peanuts, and it's just, it's funny. And then I think, again, parents will enjoy it as well because it's just got a lot going for it, especially that nostalgia factor.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also just good, clean entertainment. You just don't get a whole lot of that these days, unfortunately. For that one, I'd probably give it about a 7.5 out of 10. And then the last film I'm recommending is actually a documentary, so much more for the adult audience for this one. So PG-13. And it's a film called Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. I don't know if you heard about this documentary.
I haven't seen it, but I saw like the artwork.
Okay.
Streamers.
Okay. Yeah. So it's HBO Max, available on Max as well, right? So this is something that should be accessible for most people. But what I really like about it, of course, it tells the story of Christopher Reeve. It tells and portrays his Man of Steel persona. It goes through a lot of different aspects of his life. It's not just about the end of his life. It's about the beginning of his life, the beginning of his career. It's all interviews from actors that knew him best, people that you almost forgot were like close friends with him, or people that you never would have suspected were close friends with him. And also a lot of interviews with his kids. And that, to me, I think was the most powerful. Towards the end, it actually made me cry. Like, I was actually in tears is how much it moved me, because you're just watching the emotions of the grown-up kids here who are just sharing their love of their father. And it doesn't, hold any punches. It talks about how he was an imperfect person. He had two like sets of kids out of wedlock for one of them, right? And so it deals with that, right? And I think that it's good that it definitely does not, gloss over that, because it's important to say, yeah, he was Superman for a lot of people, but he was still human and he made mistakes. Right. And the fact that even in those mistakes, he like something good was able to come. It just shows us the power of God, right? God can make good even out of the terrible, bad choices that we can make. But I gave this one an 8 out of 10 because it was very powerful. Again, moved me to tears. And it does deal, a little bit with how he became a huge advocate for, stem cell research, but it doesn't really talk about embryonic stem cell research. So I think it's good, right, in that it stays away from that issue, from that topic, and focuses more on, just trying to do the best research possible to help the most people possible.